Hi, I'm Mark with Crown & Caliber, and welcome to Hidden Gems. Tag Heuer, or Heuer, depending on when you were born, has one model that's considered the icon, that if you have a passing appreciation or knowledge of watches, you see it across the room, you know what it is, the Monaco. But what we don't really remember is it was a failure initially, and was quickly replaced by the Heuer Silverstone, which is the watch we're gonna look at today. So let's get into it. So this is the Heuer Silverstone, or Tag Heuer Silverstone, depending on what year we're talking about its release. Heuer became Tag Heuer when Tag bought them out and helped the company survive. Some people like to call it a different company. Really, it's the same company the entire time. But let's go back to the beginning. Heuer, specifically when it was run by Jack Heuer, was big on automotive racing. He was an automotive racing fan, and he started by creating car instrument gauges that could be easily read when driving or read by the co-pilot in the case of a rally car. And he did them so well it became ubiquitous amongst racers. If you had a car with the clock in it, it was a Heuer. And this continued throughout the history of the brand. When chronographs became necessary for timing laps and timing drivers and timing a race in general, Heuer became where you went to. They made sure racing meant a Heuer watch. And it even became part of F1 culture. Formula One was first sponsored as an official timekeeper by Heuer. Heuer was one of the first ones to sponsor teams, from Ferrari to McLaren to today they're Tag Heuer and sponsor Red Bull Racing. And when they came out with the first automatic winding chronograph for them, they decided, let's do something different. Let's create a watch that when you look at it across the room, you know it's ours. And they created the Monaco. Thing is, to be honest, after 3,000 to 5,000 watches produced in under 5 years, the Monaco is actually a failure. Yes, it has an iconic look. Yes, it looks different, but it didn't do so well at the time. So they went back to the drawing board, said, we're gonna make a better watch, something that can be an icon for us. And that was the Silverstone. And it's kind of interesting how the Monaco was named after a track that's very angular. It's a very angular watch. And the Silverstone is named after a track that's very big and flowing and fast. And that's what the Silverstone is. It is a curvy watch that doesn't look like anything else, that looks like it belongs in a racetrack. It looks like a racing oval, in fact. Heuer used it as a staple. They first sponsored Ferrari with this watch. This was the watch that the Ferrari drivers wore. In the racing world, Heuer was the biggest brand. And the biggest brand was worn by the biggest racing brand, Ferrari. They went together perfectly. Unfortunately, the quartz crisis killed them. And honestly, it almost killed Heuer. But fortunately for us, Tag came in. Tag is a company that knew Heuer from Formula One. They're a major owner of McLaren. Tag comes in and helps revitalize Heuer. And Tag Heuer comes into this market as things are changing. Watches are no longer just an appliance that tells us time. It's now a bit more esoteric. It's become an emotional object where history matters, where what's inside matters, where design matters. And with this in mind, Tag decides to relaunch itself. They decide, what can we do to make a mark on this new world of watches? And looking back in their history, there's two models that definitely have to stand out, and that's the Monaco and the Silverstone. But the Monaco had one thing for it when it came to that history, is that Steve McQueen wore it in a very popular racing movie called Le Mans. And that created a piece of history they can pull from. That's big. That's something we all care about. It pulls at us when we have these things. And other watch brands have done it. Paul Newman wore the Daytona at a time when Rolex could hardly give the watch away. And with that Steve McQueen angle, the Monaco was relaunched and became the thing we associate with Tag Heuer. But the Silverstone's still very important. When Heuer decided to celebrate their 150th anniversary, This is the watch they decided to re-release. The Silverstone is the improvement on the failing Monaco, but it doesn't get the same attention. And that's why to me, the Heuer Silverstone is a hidden gem. Hope you enjoyed learning about the Heuer Silverstone. Join me next time on Hidden Gems.